Imagine this. You're in a luxurious hotel, surrounded by the finest amenities, when something completely unexpected goes down. The story starts with a seemingly harmless encounter between an elderly janitor and a hotel owner, who sadly doesn't show much respect for the elderly worker. As the hotel owner mocks the janitor, making cruel remarks about his age and position, he has no idea that someone very special is in the next stall. Imagine this. You're in a luxurious hotel, surrounded by the finest amenities, when something completely unexpected goes down. The story starts with a seemingly harmless encounter between an elderly janitor and a hotel owner, who sadly doesn't show much respect for the elderly worker. As the hotel owner mocks the janitor, making cruel remarks about his age and position, he has no idea that someone very special is in the next stall, overhearing the whole conversation. The tension builds as the hotel owner continues to belittle the janitor, unaware that the very man he's ridiculing is about to change everything. What will Johnny Depp do once he realizes what's happening? And how will the hotel owner react when he discovers he's been caught in a lie, with one of the most famous actors in the world in the bathroom? Stay tuned to see how this unbelievable moment unfolds. You won't believe what happens next, as the hotel owner, Mr. Pierce, walks through the lavish lobby of his five-star establishment. His pride is apparent. He spent years building this empire, and to him, the workers who keep it running are nothing more than background players. Today, his focus is on his newest venture, a high-profile event that could elevate his hotel's reputation even further. He's busy checking his reflection in the lobby's glass doors when he spots the janitor, Mr. Thompson, a quiet man who's been cleaning the bathrooms for years. Mr. Pierce has always thought little of Mr. Thompson, even though the elderly man is reliable and works diligently. So when he sees him cleaning the restrooms, he decides to make a cruel joke about his age. "How's retirement looking for you, old man? You must be counting down the days." He laughs to himself, completely oblivious to the fact that Mr. Thompson, as always, remains calm and composed. What Mr. Pierce doesn't know is that the building's newest VIP guest, Johnny Depp, is using that very restroom, trying to take a quick break before his next meeting. The Hollywood actor, a man known for his quiet nature and sense of privacy, now finds himself unknowingly pulled into the drama. What will happen when this unlikely trio's paths collide? The tension in the air is thick, and the clock is ticking. As Mr. Pierce continues his taunting, he doesn't notice Mr. Thompson's face growing darker, but the janitor refuses to react. He's seen enough of life to know that some people will always look down on you, no matter how hard you work. He silently wipes the mirror, his hand steady despite the sting of the words. Inside, though, he's angry. Angry not just because of the cruel jabs, but because this behavior, this lack of empathy, has been a constant in his life. But today, it's different. Today, there's someone else listening in. Johnny Depp sits in the stall, his mind elsewhere as he waits for his moment to slip out unnoticed. He's no stranger to public attention, but today he craves peace. He's tired, worn out from the constant glare of the spotlight, and he's here in this hotel to lay low. But as Mr. Pierce's laughter fills the small restroom, something about the conversation catches his attention. At first, it's the arrogance in Mr. Pierce's voice. Then it's the familiarity of the older man's tone, the kind of voice that doesn't deserve to be belittled. Johnny shifts uncomfortably on the seat, wondering if he should intervene. He knows what it feels like to be judged by the public, to be reduced to a caricature of who you are. But this is different. This is a moment where someone is being attacked in silence, and the actor feels an unsettling pull to stand up. The tension is thick. Will Johnny intervene or let this situation unfold? Meanwhile, Mr. Pierce's oblivion to the gravity of the situation grows as he continues his mockery, completely unaware of the famous voice that could bring everything crashing down. The air in the bathroom feels heavy now, charged with the unspoken tension between Mr. Pierce's cruel taunts and Mr. Thompson's growing sense of indignation. Johnny Depp shifts again, unsure of what to do. He's never been the type to cause a scene, to draw attention to himself. But something inside him is telling him this moment isn't just about his piece. It's about doing the right thing. He thinks about the countless times he's been judged, misunderstood, and misrepresented. He knows what it feels like to be caught in the crossfire of someone else's arrogance. As Mr. Pierce continues his insults, oblivious to the fact that an important moment is unfolding right behind him, Mr. Thompson starts to speak. His voice is calm but firm. "You don't know a thing about me, Mr. Pierce," he says, his words cutting through the mockery like a knife. The hotel owner freezes. For a brief moment, there's a silence that hangs in the air, thick and suffocating. Mr. Pierce, confused, turns to see who is speaking, only to be met with a quiet, steady gaze from the elderly janitor. The sight of Mr. Thompson's face, his years of quiet dignity in his eyes, catches him off guard. Before Mr. Pierce can respond, a low, calm voice from behind him echoes through the room. "He's right. You don't know anything about him." Johnny Depp emerges from the stall, his presence unmistakable. His words are soft but authoritative, as if he's been waiting for the right moment to speak. Mr. Pierce's face goes pale as he slowly turns, his eyes widening in disbelief. He stammers, trying to find the words, but nothing comes out. Johnny stands tall, a quiet but undeniable force of nature in the room. And for the first time in a long while, Mr. Pierce feels small. The shock is palpable, but the real tension builds as Mr. Thompson, still holding his ground, finally speaks his truth. What happens next could change everything for all of them. But for now, they stand locked in a moment of silence, each of them grappling with what comes next. As the tension hangs in the air, just when it feels like the truth is about to surface, another unexpected twist shatters the moment. Mr. Pierce's wide eyes slowly narrow as he looks past Johnny Depp and then back at Mr. Thompson. Just when the janitor thought he might finally be heard, the hotel owner lets out a nervous laugh. "So you're telling me," he says, his voice forced, "that you're standing here, trying to lecture me, with asterisk him asterisk." He gestures toward Johnny, his tone dripping with mockery, as though the actor's presence somehow cheapens the situation. Mr. Thompson's face hardens, but before he can respond, the bathroom door swings open. A hotel manager bursts in, looking flustered, his face pale. "Mr. Pierce, I'm afraid we've just had a situation. There's a problem with the VIP guests, some miscommunication with the event staff." The manager stammers, barely glancing at the scene unfolding in the restroom. Johnny, growing more unsettled, steps forward, but the manager suddenly shifts his gaze to him, recognition dawning on his face. "Wait a minute, you're asterisk Johnny Depp asterisk," he says, his voice betraying disbelief. The actor nods, his eyes narrowing in response to the sudden rush of attention. But then, just as everyone is processing this new shock, the manager turns to Mr. Pierce and lowers his voice, whispering something that causes the hotel owner's expression to shift dramatically. "The investors. They're here. They've been watching. They're asterisk in the lobby asterisk." The mention of the investors sends a cold wave of realization through Mr. Pierce's veins. His eyes dart around the bathroom, as if the walls might close in on him. Suddenly, the stakes are higher than ever. The very people he's been trying to impress, the ones who could make or break his career, are about to witness a scene that could destroy everything he's worked for. Johnny watches the exchange, his mind racing. What does this mean for him and Mr. Thompson? The pieces are falling into place, but the pieces don't fit in a way anyone could have predicted. Everything has just escalated, and no one knows how it will play out. The moment the manager mentions the investors, a cold silence blankets the room. Mr. Pierce's mind races, his carefully constructed world suddenly feeling fragile. He quickly stands straighter, trying to regain his composure, but it's clear that the situation is spiraling out of control. He glances between Johnny Depp and Mr. Thompson, both of whom are waiting for his next move. His eyes flicker with a mix of panic and desperation, but it's too late to pretend this isn't happening. The truth is out. Johnny, sensing the sudden shift, steps forward and faces Mr. Pierce. This isn't about impressing anyone anymore, is it? He says, his voice calm but firm. This is about doing the right thing. He looks directly at the elderly janitor. Mr. Thompson doesn't deserve your cruelty, and I won't stand by and watch it. The hotel owner, sweating now, stammers, trying to salvage whatever pride he has left. You don't understand. If I don't deliver my business, my future, it's all at risk. You think you can just. But before Mr. Pierce can finish, the bathroom door bursts open again. The investors, who had been silently observing from the lobby, step inside, their presence both imposing and surprising. They'd heard everything, the taunts, the confrontation, everything. Mr. Pierce's face goes pale as they move toward him, their expressions unreadable. We've heard enough, one of them says, his tone low. And we don't like what we've heard. There's a beat of silence before the investor continues. But we do like what we're seeing. Mr. Thompson, you're a man of integrity, and we respect that. You've got a job here anytime you want it. Mr. Thompson's eyes widen. For a moment, he can't believe what he's hearing. The investors are offering him a position. The same people Mr. Pierce had worked so hard to impress are now looking at the janitor with newfound respect. It's a stunning reversal of fate. As the tension dissipates, Johnny watches the scene unfold with quiet satisfaction. But just as it seems like everything has been resolved, a final twist hits. One of the investors turns to Johnny and smiles. We've been following your work for years, Mr. Depp. We'd love to have you involved in the next big project, perhaps something that gives back to the people who really make a difference. Johnny's eyes narrow, intrigued. What do you have in mind? A smile flickers across the investor's face. A charity initiative. One that rewards people like Mr. Thompson who get overlooked. What do you think? The final twist leaves Johnny silent for a moment, his mind racing with the possibilities. The whole situation, which started with mockery and insults, has now turned into an opportunity for change, one that none of them could have predicted. The unexpected alliances formed today could reshape their lives in ways they hadn't even imagined. And as the camera pans out, the uncertainty still lingers, leaving the audience wondering just what will happen next. As the investor's words hang in the air, Johnny Depp looks at Mr. Thompson, who is still processing the unexpected turn of events. The older man's eyes glisten with a mixture of disbelief and hope. The years of hard work, the silent endurance through mockery and disrespect, had somehow led to this moment, an offer for a new beginning. Mr. Thompson nods slowly, a smile tugging at his lips. I don't know what to say, he says, his voice thick with emotion. The investors chuckle, reassuring him that words aren't necessary. For Mr. Pierce, though, it's a different story. His world has crumbled in a matter of minutes. The very people he thought he was impressing are now looking at him with disdain. He's no longer the powerful hotel owner. He's a man who let his ego and cruelty blind him to what really mattered. As the investors turn to leave, they don't spare him another glance. They know where true value lies. Johnny, looking at Mr. Thompson one last time, offers a simple nod of approval. He's seen a lot in his life, but today, something felt different. As the camera pans out, the final message is clear. Respect, kindness, and integrity always triumph over arrogance. The story of Mr. Thompson, the janitor who wasn't forgotten, will stay with everyone involved.